All right, we're starting. Amazing. All right, so the time is 6 o'clock. I call the October 24th meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, citizens' comments? Anyone? No? Approval of the minutes.
I read the minutes and I saw nothing wrong. I make a motion to accept it as written.
I second.
Okay, so motion's been made and seconded to approve the minutes of the last meeting as written. That was August 10th. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, they're passed. Correspondence and announcements. I have letters that I don't know if I brought in or if I left them. You want this one? Yeah. I think they're right, like, to the, like, right on the desk when you first look and still left of the keyboard. There's two. It's not here. I had a meeting with Jody like right before. So for announcements, I'm not trying to think of any announcements. What's been going on for announcements? Oh, what's been going on for announcements?
Oh, I'm laughing. Now repeat. Wait a minute. Let me stop. Now repeat yourself.
Announcements. Do you have any announcements? I'm trying to think of what's been going on. I have a storm
That
stuff in my head
church.
still. Oh, the Meeting House Church.
We finally have movement.
No, we haven't. Wait,
Yeah,
move over the roof.
to the garage floor and I pick a lot. I want to go inside there and I think that there's a hole that is wide open. I just want to look. I'm not getting up on the roof.
Be very careful in there and don't go on the roof.
No, I won't.
Are you just gonna see if you can see
That's what I
outside?
told her. I said, I won't go up there and try to put a canvas over that because plywood that was up there just broke all up. It blew off in pieces because the nails going through the boards underneath. The boards were rotten. So that has got to be done something soon.
Yeah, I talked to our town attorney about that today to find out the process and putting it out to auction or what we can do.
Whatever happened with the historic individual?
He went to a different place, farm.
Yeah, so that'll be up for, on the
Yeah.
next meeting, we'll bring her up, we'll revisit,
Yeah.
and they'll have more information. I was just talking about it today. All right, so for, what were we doing?
Correspondence announcements.
August 11th, good evening, Selectmen Hanson, Olton, and Milovich. The purpose of this email is twofold. Both issues relate to the health and well-being of those who reside and visit Valentine. First, we request that a mask mandate be reinstated in our community. While there are currently no new known cases of coronavirus in our community, we do reside in London County, which is listed as being at high risk for transmission of the virus. Also, our town's rate of vaccination is not at a particularly high rate when compared with the rest of our state. As our schools prepare to open, we feel this would be the optimal way to ensure a safe, healthy transition for the students and staff of our public schools. Our first request is that our town contribute 1% of the federal COVID relief dollars from the American Rescue Plan per the request of Uncas Health. As an medical reserve or volunteer, I've seen firsthand all the hard work of our local health districts. They have truly been a lifeline for our community during the pandemic and deserve our financial support. Thanks for your efforts for our community. Please feel free to contact us if you would like to discuss our request. Sincerely, Jack Donahue and Betty Jenkins-Stein.
You read that last time?
Did I?
Yes. Last meeting.
Did I?
No, that came out since last
No,
meeting.
that came out after.
Oh, that's it. I heard that.
That one and then the other one from.
I have one from, this is from August 19th. Dear Valentine Selectmen, today's report from Uncas Health District shows the rate of COVID-19 tests continues to rise. Our town is currently listed as having a high rate of COVID-19 on a map shown by Governor Lamont this afternoon. Additionally, Valentine is in New London County where there is a high risk of COVID-19 transmission. I noted the memo released last week regarding a town masking requirement and appreciate the intent. Unfortunately, not all in our community support and believe the CDC recommendations to reduce the transmission of the disease. This is evidenced by a relatively low rate of vaccinated, i.e. 58%. Therefore, I am requesting that our town re-implement an indoor masking requirement. I believe such a requirement will help reduce the rate of disease transmission. This is vitally important to our children as they begin the school year. I am also concerned about those in our community who are unable to develop COVID antibodies once vaccinated. Again, please implement the requirement to wear masks indoors. If you feel this is not doable, please at least implement a requirement in town buildings. I look forward to hearing from you to discuss my concerns. It can help to increase our town's rate of vaccination. Please let me know. Thank you. Betty Oakstein. Those are two correspondents that I have.
I make a motion that we reopen discussion on our mask policy.
I put up on the board first, COVID, red, follow
CDC guidelines.
CDC guidelines. And after, like I said, talking to Jody, they're not gonna listen, they're gonna have a fit.
Can I get a second just to reopen discussion? That's what I'm looking for, is just to have the discussion right now.
We'd have to add it to the agenda.
Motion to add the discussion of mask policy to the agenda is what I'm looking for.
I second that.
Okay, so the motion's been made and seconded to add it to the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, so we'll add it to the agenda under old business.
Yep, that's fine.
All right, board and committee reports. Do you have a finance one? No. All right, old business action, the Second Amendment resolution. So I forwarded it to the town attorney as requested at the last meeting. And he was the actual attorney that reviewed it for the other town. So he said that everything is factual on it and it's fine as far as the statements on it.
So hopefully that was a cost savings for us, since he's already reviewed this exact statement.
So I will read it, and then we can act on it after, okay? A resolution of the Valentine Board of Selectmen supporting the Second Amendment. Whereas the Constitution of the United States is the supreme law of our nation, and whereas the Second Amendment to the Constitution, adopted in 1791, states a well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And whereas the U.S. Supreme Court found in Miranda versus Arizona, 384 U.S. 436 in 1966, that where rights secured by the Constitution are involved, there can be no rulemaking or legislation which would abrogate them. And whereas the U.S. Supreme Court in the District of Columbia versus Keller, 554 U.S. 570 in 2008, affirmed that the Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms is not connected in any way to service in a militia. And whereas the U.S. Supreme Court in United States versus Miller, 307 U.S. 174 in 1939, stated that firearms that are part of ordinary military equipment with use that could contribute to the common defense are protected by the Second Amendment. And whereas the 14th Amendment to the Constitution states, no state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the law. And whereas the U.S. Supreme Court in McDonald versus City of Chicago, 561 U.S. 742 in 2010, affirm that a person's Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms is further secured by the due process and the privileges and immunities clauses of the 14th Amendment. This decision also protects rights closely related to the Second Amendment, namely the right to manufacture, transfer, purchase, and sell firearms, accessories, and ammunition. And whereas the 10th Amendment to the Constitution states the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution nor prohibited by it to the states are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. And whereas the U.S. Supreme Court found in Prince versus United States 521 U.S. 898 in 1997 that the federal government cannot compel law enforcement officers of the states to enforce federal laws, as it would increase the power of the federal government far beyond that which the Constitution intended. And whereas in Article 1, Section 2 of the Connecticut Constitution states that all political power is inherent in the people and all free governments are founded on their authority and instituted for their beliefs, benefit, and they have at all times an undeniable and indefeasible right to alter their form of government in such manner as they may think expedient. And whereas Article 1, Section 15 of the Connecticut Constitution states that every citizen has a right to bear arms in defense of himself and the state, and whereas due to dual sovereignty of the U.S. Constitution, the federal government has no authority to enforce state laws, and states cannot be compelled to enforce federal laws, and whereas the last protectors of the U.S. Constitution are law enforcement officers, and we the people of the United States of America and our ability to fulfill that role successfully rest on our Second Amendment rights, and whereas those who are elected to public office swear on oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America, and for state and local officials their respective state constitutions. And whereas the state and federal constitutions were designed as a restraint upon the government and not the people, as intended by our founders, who recognize that unrestrained government leads to tyranny. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Selectmen of Valentine, Connecticut, as follows. Section 1, the above recitals are true and correct and incorporated in this resolution. Section 2, the Valentine Board of Selectmen supports the Second Amendment in order to preserve for the people of, on, and in Valentine their rights guaranteed by the Constitution of the United States of America and Constitution of the State of Connecticut. Section 3, we the people of Valentine, Connecticut, through this resolution, hereby declare our rights, our freedom, and our liberty as guaranteed by the Constitution of the United States of America, and further affirmed by the Constitution of the State of Connecticut to always be secured by we the people as the Valentine Board of Selectmen.
I make a resolution. I make a motion. Sorry.
I can breathe now.
Too many resolutions. I make a motion that we pass the resolution as written, as it's been reviewed by council.
I second it.
Okay, so the motion's been made and seconded to support the resolution of the Valentine Board of Selectmen supporting the Second Amendment. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so the resolution is approved. Okay. So now we're on to the mask policy.
Okay. So I spoke quite a bit about this at our last meeting. And I understand the concern that you made after your conversation with Jody, that the words mask and the words vaccine can be trigger words to a lot of people. However, the fact that they're trigger words does not remove from us our responsibility to put forth guidance that is in the best interest of the town. Looking at the Uncas Health District, we are on a really fast climb. In the most recent report, it is, we've already gone back to what the numbers were in the end of last year. So we've already risen back to the levels of weekly cases before the vaccine was available. So that's number one. Number two, those who are already wearing masks, using the term mask or vaccine is not going to cause them to stop wearing masks. Those who are not going to wear a mask, no matter what the guidelines are not going to wear a mask. But it is those people in the middle that if we put out guidance, and all I'm suggesting at this point is rather than just state the CDC guidelines, follow them, we list what the CDC guidelines are. We don't come up with our own language. We just reiterate exactly what it says because more people are likely to read it that way if it comes from us stating exactly what the CDC says with no color commentary by us, no interpretation, just restate what it is rather than go read the CDC guidelines because no one is. Because again, I'm looking at those people in the middle, those people who are not wearing masks but are willing to wear masks if we ask them to. Now, in terms of enforcement, number three, nowhere does the CDC guidelines specify any sort of enforcement. They say, here is the guidelines, and that's why I'm saying we need to put out exactly what the guidelines state. And I just pulled them up here. And the relevant passage is the CDC has added a recommendation for fully vaccinated people to wear a mask in public indoor settings in areas of substantial or high transmission. London County is now a high transmission area. So all I'm asking for is rather than just state, please read the CDC guidelines, no one's going to go do that. What do we say? The CDC guidelines state this, then those people in the middle. If we use the word mask, we are not going to cause the number of people who are currently wearing masks to go down. We are going to reach some percentage of those people in the middle, and a few percent more people will wear masks, which will help. Because every person who wears a mask is helping to prevent the spread. So, that's what I wanted to state. What do you two think?
I'm back to your thinking.
That's not how it works.
The governor ought to get his finger out of his butt, and he wants to, he's the one that should take the responsibility, and I will not ask people to wear masks. I agree with 100%, but I just cannot ask, I will not say yes to that. It's nothing against you, I think it's completely right.
And Ron, this isn't personal, okay? Let me be very clear. This is not, I am going after either one of you.
Yeah.
This is, I am stating what I feel we need to do as strongly as I can and without sounding like a raving lunatic. So I'm speaking loud because I'm wearing my mask, not because I'm trying to yell. But the numbers are troubling. And as I said 2 weeks ago when we were gray, we are headed towards red. We are now red. And the trend is not just we're a little bit red. We're going to be very red in another 2 weeks.
And I think that where people are getting it is not it's not coming to the town hall or going to the library or going to Sunny. It's not wearing masks in their own gathering. So I think that for us to tell people to wear masks at Sunny's or in the town hall.
So again, let's split the difference rather than asking for the entire town. Ask for the places because businesses we do not have enforcement, we do not have control.
And they can still require masks in their own business.
Right, that's on them. And if we put out the guideline that we are asking people to do the right thing and wear a mask, because again, the mask is, me wearing the mask is primarily for everyone else in this room's protection. It is, this is not a scientifically quantified thing, but it is 90% I'm protecting the rest of you in the room, 10% I'm protecting myself. Okay, so the mask affords me some protection, but it's primarily if I was infected right now, then this is limiting my spreading it in this room. So that's the purpose of masking. It's not for protection of yourself, it is primarily protection of everyone around you. So we requested just state what the CDC guidelines state. That's it. not a town policy. This is what the CDC says, because we've already put out, please follow CDC guidelines. So now I'm asking the change to be, this is the CDC guideline. And we don't say it's the town policy, we say, this is the CDC guideline.
Just to change the sign on the door?
Yeah. And list the text of what the CDC guideline is. That's it. Because that will encourage some of those people in the middle, which will help a little bit.
I don't know if they're reading your door signs. I don't know if anyone's read them.
People don't read signs.
You know what? But some will follow, some will. Some will.
I don't know. I don't think they will. I think that everyone knows right now if they wear a mask. But I don't think that putting it on a door, on a sign on the door that says CDC recommends it is going to make people change their mind to wear one or not.
But I think you're thinking of those who are not going to wear a mask no matter what they're asked or told to do. So those who want to are looking
and
for.
And they will wear one. People come in here wearing masks all the time because they choose to.
Right, but there's that people in the middle. And that's the people where I think we can influence and nudge them towards wearing a mask if they're not going to make it. Because every extra person who does helps. I'm not asking to put a banner across Main Street that says, "Thou shalt wear a mask under penalty of being told you're bad." Just state what the CDC guideline says. That's what I'm looking for. It's not unreasonable. It's not us coming up with our own language.
But it's taking this instead of saying follow CDC guidelines to say.
The CDC guidelines currently state that regardless of, paraphrasing exactly, because it says if you're vaccinated, wear a mask in a public indoor space. But regardless of vaccination status, please wear a mask indoors. That's it. I get this is a tricky thing.
It is, yeah.
It's contentious. I get that. But
we're
I feel
not
that
making it a policy to wear masks in the town hall.
But the guidelines up, I am.
Because all the employees in here are in areas where there's distance and everything for everyone that comes in here. People wear masks when they want to come in. If that's what they want to do, they'll wear a mask, they'll keep it on. Some come in, some with masks, some without. But most of the employees, we're fine with not having a mask. So to have it on the door, if that's supposed to make us all wear masks inside.
I am not saying anything about enforcement. I'm saying let's just be very specific on what the CDC does, because that will influence some people.
I wouldn't put Board of Selectmen on it anywhere, that's for sure. You just an explanation of CDC guidelines. If you want to do that, put that on a door. That's it, though.
I'm fine with that. It's because it's not our policy. I'm not asking us to come up with policy. I'm asking us to just post what the policy is.
That's something off the CDC website.
But I mean, no Board of Selectmen mentioned whatsoever.
No, it's just from the
CDC
website.
Explanation of CDC guidelines. Well, this is the CDC guidelines, and that's it. Board of Selectmen, nowhere on that.
CDC website with the CDC logo and everything on it.
To say, I agree that they should wear masks, but I'm trying to make them, to tell them, I mean, I put something like that.
If someone comes in here and says, "Are you telling me I have to wear a mask?" And I'm intentionally using a confrontational tone there, because that's typically what it's going to be. Someone who's going to wear a mask, they'll put a mask, but if someone has an issue with that, "Are you telling me I have to wear a mask?" No, we're telling you what the CDC policy is.
But the employees aren't going to wear masks.
If they're within 6 feet of someone, I hope that they would.
But we have all stuff set up in the office, so that doesn't normally happen. So.
You can't win. It just, people, I think, people are stubborn. I think they're foolish not to get the vaccine, but that's my personal thoughts. I stay away from people. If I go shopping, I wear a mask, but I'm not going to tell somebody. I don't want them to think that we're telling them they have to wear a mask.
Yeah, I don't believe in those mandates on people, whether it's masks, whether it's making them get vaccines. I don't believe in that. But I think people have the choice to do with themselves what they want.
And that's why I was very careful in how I phrased this conversation. At no point did I say mandate, requirement, must. It is, let's reiterate what the CDC policy is, because what we're doing right now is not enough. And trust me, yes, I would like to go further than this, but this is, I'm realizing the reality of what we can and cannot do, and so I'm asking, I think this is a little bit further than what we've done, but it's not going too far.
I can bring up the Cdc Guidelines.
That's all. Like I say, no mention of anything in here or anything. That way people can read it for their own personal knowledge. You know, let them read it. But like you say, there is don't even mention mandate or anything. See what they say, put it in nice big letters so they can see. You know, the only place you could put it, be a couple of doors here and over the library.
That would be a step up from where we're at, and I think
we don't want to step on people's toes.
Understood, and that's why I looked up exactly what the CDC language was. And again, the CDC language on this is a recommendation for fully vaccinated people to wear a mask in public indoor settings in areas of high transmission. That is verbatim from the CDC website. So, you know, I had said, you know, we could paraphrase it, so that's regard. Nope, don't paraphrase anything. Right. With the CDC logo.
They have printable stuff on there. That's how I found that scan.
Yep. So.
Okay. I can send them a little bit, stick them on the door.
I'm not going to ask for a resolution because then that's, as you said, you know, Board of Selectmen, nope, we're not resolving anything.
We're not requiring anyone to wear a mask either, like making it that they have to. All right.
Thank you for hearing me out.
New business, fiscal year 21 audit. You guys got a copy of it. This is the audit for the transfer, the transfer station. We're just approving it for the auditor's record.
You want to do just approve it?
Just approve the audit.
You happy with it?
Yeah.
We make a motion, we approve the audit.
I second.
Okay, so the motion's been made and seconded to approve the audit of the Valentine Sterling Transfer Station as presented by the accountant, Sandra Wellwood. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, hearing none, the audit passes. Thank you. So we have the notice of the public hearing and the town meeting for the general code ordinance. Did you get the email I sent you that I got right before I went to my meeting about how it was going to be done as an ordinance? How did I have to read that?
I think you have to
All right, so
We just have to read the one paragraph.
no, this is so what the public hearing and the town meeting are for is in order to get our town ordinances. We only did the town ordinances, right? To get our town ordinances. Right now, we don't have a way to really we don't put them out to the public on the website or anything because they're not really well organized. And we went to this codification process that organizes the ordinances. And the meeting would just be to approve all of the code changes to the ordinances, which are mostly like grammatic or
Up to date.
Because I fact checked some of the ordinances that we had in the books were repealed, so they were never taken out.
And specific dollar amounts that we want to change.
Yeah, just to change some dollar amounts or to take the dollar amount out, sometimes take the fines out completely, because why would we want to put the fines in an ordinance that we would have to go to a meeting and change every time? So some things were taken out that were in there, not anything that overall changed the ordinance, but just little things like that. So was this the list of all the changes? I got this email right before I went to my meeting. So this is the ordinance that was proposed. So at the town meeting, we'll be voting, instead of voting on every single change, we're going to be voting on the ordinance that does the changes. And the public hearing will be to go over all that. The call for the meeting. The call for the meeting mention the ordinance.
Did you send calls to?
Yeah.
They called.
So we can do the meeting call at a different time, but we just need to put the notice of the public hearing in, which would just be a notice that we're having a public hearing to go over the code ordinance.
Right, the notice is what we have to do 5 days.
Yeah,
right?
the notice
Yep.
we have to do to get put in, like ASAP. You guys all got a copy of the ordinance?
I don't think I got that.
No.
Should I just read it?
Did you read the whole thing?
I just read the whole other thing. I don't want to read it.
No, I think you do that as well.
Yeah, we can do this. It's just
That
at a
is
different time.
August 31st, Tuesday.
6 p.m. is what we've got listed on.
Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah.
Are we, it's a public hearing. So we're gonna be, how are we gonna be validating people coming in?
It's just a public hearing, there's no vote. So you don't need to validate anyway.
Anyone
Or
can.
anyone can speak?
Yeah.
Right, no, but for
They
comments.
come, they speak at the podium, they state their action. So that way only people involved on.
I don't expect much response to this.
We will have.
Oh, I'm sorry, live stream on YouTube, but it's not a Zoom. Disregard. That's what I was thinking of. Okay.
Oh, yeah, no, there's nothing. No vote.
Yeah,
Yep.
there's no vote.
It'll be all in person, even the town meeting, right?
Yeah, there's
So you don't do it in person.
So, that's the thing.
No.
I don't think we don't have to approve the notice for the public hearing.
But you do have to read the meeting call, right?
Yeah, that'll be different. We'll do that at a different meeting. We don't have that together yet, and that has to be in within a certain time from the public hearing.
And the town meeting is September 14th.
Yeah, and so we have time to do the meeting call later.
Gotcha, okay.
Next, we have new business, discussion on Tropical Storm Henry. So, for Tropical Storm Henry, I think we really did good.
It's excellent.
We had, it wasn't really any worse than any of the storms we've been having. And we had more people out of power, but the damage wasn't really that different from what we normally have.
How long did it take for the last house to get power back?
I think everyone had power on by maybe 9 o'clock last night. Maybe a little bit later than that, but somewhere around that time.
Still a very good response. I thought I never saw us. I've never seen that many trees down on Change Road before.
Right, yeah. James Road got hit good.
Yeah.
Yeah, normally I have 1 or 2 trees down on my access road, the other 3 houses there, but there's normally more trees down on 49 or Shetucket or any of the other major roads, and 5 trees down on our access road. It wasn't blocking anything. It was mostly off in the woods, but like, okay,
We usually
we'll get to those eventually.
end up trapped down at Bailey Pond
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
stuff happens. And I remember the storm wasn't even over yet, and I heard a beeping noise, like a backup beeping, and I was like, what is that? It was Amazon. So, so I was like, all right, I guess we're not trapped this storm. So that's when I knew we were good at Bailey Pond. So, but usually we get trapped in from the Rhode Island side and from the Connecticut side, so we're just usually stuck there.
Another year or 2, it won't even matter, because by that point, Amazon will have their large commercial drones, so even if the roads are shut down, you can still get to the Amazon will still get
So I
through.
was like, oh, I guess we could get out. It was just weird. But yeah, we had some issues with Eversource at the beginning. We had little fires going on all over the place and live wires everywhere. And we worked really well with the Public Works, the fire department. Jody, as the emergency management director, took the lead in the communications with Public Works and with the fire department. Everyone worked really well together for teamwork to get things done. And we had the emergency operations center open at the firehouse. Pat Adams was our liaison over there with Public Works and with myself and through Eversource. So it was just frustrating at the beginning to get crews here, just like every other storm. But
Normal.
I was in a conference call with the governor and state agencies at 4:30 after the storm, and we still didn't have any crews here. When we had
I mean, when the sun came out?
yeah, and we had no crews. We had live wires everywhere. We had fires. And I did mention in that conference call that how frustrating it is when you have all these dangerous situations going on in your town and you can't get anyone there to do anything about it. And it's just frustrating when I had someone from Eversource standing right there with me, and he's trying to get them to do something too. So it's not even, there's just so many chains in Eversource's
Can you come in?
that it's hard to get what you need. And it's frustrating. It's always hard for us being a small town because we're usually low on the totem pole for everything. And it was a point that I made too, that even with we had the 3rd highest percentage of outages per town. And even being number 3 on that list, we still didn't have crews here. So that after that comment was probably like at 7, 8 o'clock, I think, when the crews started rolling in. And I was out on Main Street, and I don't think I've ever seen that many crews in town.
They came in force.
So.
Well, they prepped for much worse, though.
Yeah.
What? Have you opened the emergency operations center? Did you have to do that as a meeting? No, we don't do that. We declared a state of emergency also. Yesterday morning, we declared a state of emergency, which helped escalate the Eversource trucks then too, because then I was working with the Department of Emergency Management to focus on areas that hadn't been touched yet from Eversource, where again there were live wires. Like as I was saying to the Department of Emergency Management, the priority for emergency management director and myself our priority isn't to get the power back, it's to make it safe. And when you have live wires down all over town and people riding their bikes and walking around and taking selfies, that's the safety that you're worried about. So there were live wires everywhere. So that's our main goal is to keep it safe.
See, at least on James Road, when the trees fell, they did it right. They broke the wires well. We didn't have to worry about any problem being on up there.
So, we had all the power back last night. Today, Public Works was continuing the storm cleanup, because a lot of the power came back on after they were gone for the day yesterday. So there trees that they couldn't get before that they were able to move and clear today. So, it's probably gonna be a couple of days before everything's totally cleaned up,
Yeah,
but
there's a lot of stuff
there's a
on the
lot
side
of
of the
debris.
road.
Yeah,
They're doing good there, you know.
yeah. So that's where we are with that. I think the state's gonna be able to get, FEMA funding for it. So we'll be able to keep track of, how much money we've spent on storm cleanup and on having the EOC open and everything. They're all things that we can use.
Reimbursement on.
Yeah.
Got all their overtime and everything, like you say, you're gonna have to sit down with you, or, not you, sit down with you when we figure that out.
It's like I say, the way they showed me FEMA was much, you got a lot more that way than the way we used to do it. We included everything, so. And like I said, FEMA used to send somebody around and explain it. They were right there to work with us at the end. Made it much easier.
But I haven't heard anything about homes damaged or anything, so I don't. I saw some in Lisbon and Canterbury where trees landed on houses and stuff, so I haven't heard of anything.
A house on 165 in Rhode Island had 4 big oak trees. I got all the wood at my house. The guy who cut it delivered it. One of the logs was about that big. I asked the guy who delivered it, I said, how was the house? He said, not good.
Oh, wow.
Nobody got hurt.
Yeah,
He said it was like, it hit each corner, that's being directly, but still, it was some mighty big trees.
No. The initial, estimate for damage was places, Valentine, being without power for up to 3 weeks.
yeah.
So, Sandy and Irene, we had 7 and 8 days. So, yep. I was like, okay, we survived.
Yeah.
We'll survive 3 weeks if we have to.
Yeah. Yeah, Logan.
We don't have to, so even better.
He was like, is school gonna be delayed again? I'm like, you were little when that happened, how do you remember?
And you hear more generators going than you ever heard going before. Soon as
Oh yeah, when the sun
Power
came
was
out,
out.
it was, I opened the door and I was like, okay, generator chicken, who's the first of my neighbors to fire up their generator?
Yeah.
So,
No, I think we did good. So we
yes,
were lucky.
very good.
All right, anything else?
Make a motion to adjourn.
I second that.
All right, motion's been made and seconded to adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.